Hey, what up guys? And in this one, I'm going back to what is probably one of my favorite golf courses, which is Pacific Grove Golf Links. I just like the track. It's relatively affordable, easy to get to, and the vibes are always high with the people who I play with. So this time I ended up playing with someone that I met on Instagram. This person is A31Golf. I'll put their Instagram handle in the description below. But yeah, let's get out to the course and see how we did. All right, the first hole at Pacific Grove Golf Links is a par 3. And it starts out very interestingly because it's followed by another par 3 that's a little longer. But this one's just pretty short, and unfortunately I end up being short, and I end up just chipping on here. The greens were recovering from being punched and recently being sanded, so you're going to see quite a bit of sand on some of these greens. So as you can see, here's my par, and I leave it, just short. I'm not going to roll super true, but hey, I picked up the bogey, and moving on to the next one. So here's the first swing of Milton, A31 Golf. And yeah, it was drawing perfectly to the hole. It just ends up being maybe like a couple yards short, but he was closer than me. As you're going to see, I just take my 3-iron here, or my utility iron, and I end up being quite short of it. So yeah, I have some work to do for the second par 3. All right, here's my chip attempt. And as you can see with this zoom in that I purposely wanted to highlight, I hit it really, really close. So here's just the distance that I have. I just pick it up and I'm moving on to the next hole. So here's a drive from A31 Golf. He has a really compact, strong swing, and he generates quite a bit of power. Today he was kind of playing a little fade from his drive, but I'm not 100% sure if that's his actual shot shape. I didn't follow A31's Golf's lead, and I just pulled it into the trees, and now I'm dealing with some trouble. So here is my punch-out attempt. And I thought it would be okay, but it ends up coming out hotter than I anticipated. It ends up being almost under this tree into this gross rough. So I take my pitching wedge, put a little bit of mustard behind it, and actually get almost on the green. I just hit it a little bit long, but I just don't want to be short and just get myself positioned, just try to make a par. And yeah, as you can see, the green conditions not the greatest, so I end up 3-putting and I'm getting a double bogey. So I can see hole 4 still have not brought the driver out because it's 2 par 3s and 2 short par 4s. This one, you don't have to hit it any further than 200 yards and you're still set up pretty good. For those who hit it longer and more confident in your swing, you can take out driver and try to drive the green, but I opted just to lay up and be in the fairway. So this is where my chip ended up, and here's my birdie attempt. And yeah, hard to put on these greens, but hey, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying my time with A31 Golf, and the vibes are high. So I end up getting a par. Next up is the first hole that you'll want to take driver on. It is a par 5. And so pretty much stripe this one down the center. No complaints there. And then for my next shot, I just lay up, quote unquote lay up, but I take my 3-iron here and end up tugging it ever so slightly to the left. And unfortunately, it gives me this really weird lie for my next shot into the green. So you can see with this quick little practice swing here that my feet are like almost pointed straight to the sky. Not fun, not fun. So yeah, take a little practice swing there. And for the shot itself, I end up pulling it to the left and falling over. And I have a few laughs here when after I hit the ball with my dad. And basically, yeah, it ends up going long into the left. So here's my birdie putt. And like I said, the greens weren't running super true. Gave it a really good chance, but end up tapping for my par. Next up is another par 5. So it goes par 3, par 3, par 4, par 4, and par 5, par 5. I hit this nice drive up the left-hand side in the fairway. It didn't go that far, but I'll take it. Next, I use my 5-wood to get out of this rough, and I hit it pretty good. And it sets me up nicely for my third shot into the green. Usually I'm around this distance for my third shot, and for some reason I can't hit this green, and this is no exception, so I end up pulling it to the left, and now I have this attempt for my birdie from off the green. And yeah, not a great putt, left it pretty far short, and so I have this one to clean up for my par. And yeah, I just push it to the right, so end up just tapping in for bogey. Alright, next up is a shorter par 4 again. Fortunately, this one just ends up fading on me and hitting the trees on the right, and it just kicks straight down right to where that marker is showing. And so this next one, I'm just punching it up there, punching my 4-iron to get as close to the green as possible. And yeah, end up, almost in front of the green, just the front left of it. And here's my chip. Ends up being pretty decent. So here's my par attempt. I can see very sandy greens. And yeah, ends up just being short and right. So pick up another bogey here. Alright, this next hole is probably one of the harder holes on the front nine. What makes it tough is that you have to hit a pretty good drive, and if you don't have a fade in your arsenal, you're going to have to hit a long second shot to the green. So this is my 5-wood, and I flare it out to the right, and it goes out of bounds. And yeah, I'm about like 210 and some change out. So you have to hit a 210-yard shot for your second shot. And yeah, the second one I hit really good and onto the green, but I'm already, counting for out of bounds. So I'm putting here for bogey. And yeah, I almost recover from that out of bounds shot. So end up just tapping in for a double bogey. But yeah, tough hole at Pacific Grove Golf Links. And alright, here is probably what I think is the most difficult hole on the course. It's a really long par 3 that protects itself even more if there's wind. As you can hear, it's very, very windy. And I don't even get this close to the green with a 3-wood. So I end up chipping on, and that's where it ends up. But yeah, this hole is with wind is super, super tough. So I'm on the green in 2. Here's my par attempt, and I just roasted by. So yeah, very rarely do I probably get a par on this hole. It's because you have to hit such a good tee shot from distance, and there's wind. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here at Pacific Grove Golf Links. I'm actually here with 831 Golf. This is Milton.
What's up, guys?
Follow him in. I'll put his Instagram down below. Yeah, we just met and connected on Instagram and decided to play this course, so we've been having a good time. So I'll splice them into some shots on some holes. This is from after the round, but I'll put this in the beginning. Yeah, Milton, where are you from?
I'm from Salinas.
All right,
from
cool.
Salinas, 831.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Follow me. Follow Golf Perfection. Excuse me. Matt, wonderful guy.
Yeah, it's been a great time. So let's go see how we did. All right, that was an intro we filmed on the 18th tee that I wanted to include here. But that being said, this hole was playing pretty long. It was 120 yards because of the wind, and I ended up pulling this to the left-hand side of the green. And my chip, I should have accounted for a little more sand on the green and didn't roll out at all. So I have a long one for my par. And so here's my par attempt, and I'm just rolling it just by. So starting the back nine off with the bogey, but up comes my favorite hole of the course. So hole number 11 is my favorite because it has a great view into the ocean. You can probably swing as hard as you want and you won't go out of bounds. You just need to not go left. There's a ton of room right, and one day I'm going to drive this hole, mark my words. But there was a lot of wind into my face, so didn't quite get there. But yeah, hit my second shot onto the green, and here's my birdie attempt. And as you can see, it's going to be a tough day on the greens. That one ends up just lipping out. So here's a drive by 831 Golf. Look at that compact swing. He was a previous baseball player, so baseball players, you can probably relate to this. But yeah, beautiful drive. So here's my drive, and it's the furthest thing from beautiful. Overdid it, pushed it to the right, and I ended up going into the other fairway. I think, don't quote me on this, I think it might be OB technically, but I just walk up and hit it really quickly. I didn't have time to walk back and tee up another one, so pretty much I just played it as it was, and I just hit it onto the fairway, and now I have this approach. So I end up chipping it on, getting on in regulation, and so here is my birdie attempt. And yeah, left it super short, so it ended up being pretty slow even though I thought it was downhill. And yeah, so I missed my par. I guess deservedly so because I hit into the other fairway, but yeah, 10 over. Alright, for this next hole, I always end up aiming for this mound that is in the dirted area in the center of the fairway and hitting over it. But I think where you really want to end up is right at that. So because this chip is often very difficult to get onto the green and keep it close. So that being said, I end up just chipping it and hitting it very far left of the pin. And so look, I have this really, really long putt for my birdie. So here's the birdie attempt. Yeah, and I leave it about, like 3 or 4 feet out and just end up tapping it in for my par. So if you haven't been hearing it in the background, the wind has been really, really strong today. So today on this hole, I just let it rip and I end up hitting a super long drive. And I only end up being, like 30 yards away from the hole. So I end up chipping it on. But yeah, this is the closest I've ever been to this flag for my second shot. And yeah, so this is where I end up after my chip. And I have a really, really short one for birdie. And I end up draining it. So finally got my first birdie of the day. So in classic golf perfection fashion, I'm going to be following up a nice birdie with a terrible score. So as you can see, I pulled my driver to the left with a draw, and now I have this shot. And I tried to hit over this fence with a 3-iron, and it was a downhill lie, which was not a good idea. So here's me laughing about it. And then I just take my 3-iron again and just get it into the fairway, and now I have this approach to the green. And unfortunately, I just blast this wedge into this hillside sand. And so I had to walk up. It's crazy high up there. I'm just trying not to fall over and get sand in my shoes. And here's my chip out of the sand. And I'm just glad that I got onto the green. This is pretty crazy, but yeah, I should have been in there first place, but I'm already blowing up this hole. And here's my attempt just to save double. Yeah, I end up rolling it by. So yeah, pretty brutal hole. I just end up tapping that in. Gotta love a triple after a birdie. So after that triple bogey, I had nothing to lose, and I went into YOLO mode. Swung as hard as I could on this downhill par 4 with the wind behind me. Ended up hitting a 300-yard drive and being about like 50 yards short of it. And so here's my chip into the green. Yeah, and I cooked it a little hard here, and it ends up going by pretty far. So I have a long one for my birdie. So here's the birdie putt. And yeah, the greens weren't running the truest, but I'm not going to blame this on the greens. This was just a bad putt, and I ended up just tapping in for my par. So gotta love the easy tap-ins. Alright, this next shot I put in of A31 Golf because he made an amazing up and down from this mishit to the left. He cooked it really hard and it went through the left-hand side tree, so he had to chip over a bunker and under trees, and he still made up and down. Crazy. But for me, I end up, drawing mine ever so slightly into the sand trap that A31 Golf hits over and onto the green. But yeah, just wanted to put that in there because he made an incredible up and down. But me, didn't do quite so well with the up and down here. Here's my attempt for par. And yeah, I ended up hitting that by. But, end up getting a bogey there after hitting it into the sand trap. Alright, unlike the last hole, I'm putting this shot of A31 Golf as a subtle roast. Basically, I never take driver on this hole because it's a pretty narrow fairway. Left-hand side is out of bounds with cars. Right-hand side is the driving range. So I just take a driving iron out here that I know I can hit into the center of the fairway. And that's what I end up doing, which leaves me a really manageable shot into the green. So I thought I hit this really good, but the wind and the uphill, elevation really ate up my ball. So I ended up being fairly short. So check how far out I am on my next shot. So yeah, that's my chip. I wanted to go in, but just went by maybe like 6 feet or so. So this is what I have for my par. And as you can see, these are the ones that keep you coming back. Ending on a solid par, I'll take it. Alright, as you can see, didn't play my best there. I had a blow-up hole, well, maybe a few blow-up holes. And that's just how it goes. But always enjoy playing Pacific Grove Golf Links if you have the chance to play it, if you have time. And it's not a very expensive course, which is awesome. It's a great walking course. I totally recommend it. So yeah, weather permitting and time permitting, if you have a chance, go out there and play it. It's great on the back nine. Definitely has some interesting holes, some challenging holes as well. But that being said, hope you guys enjoyed that one. Keep chasing, and I'll see you in the next one.